you've both already touched a little bit on your experiences, and Mr. Henney, you've been a lawyer for a longer amount of time. You've probably had more background in the criminal law. How important is experience in being a judge? What does that bring to the bench, having served longer as a lawyer?
I personally think it's very important. I think that if being a judge was merely an academic exercise, it wouldn't be quite so much. But the fact of the matter is that a judge is presiding over ongoing proceedings. Particularly in the case of jury trials, there are going to be things that come up in the middle of a trial. You aren't going to have an opportunity to say, well, let me go look that up, let me consider that. You're going to have a courtroom full of people waiting for you to make a decision. Maybe it's something as simple as ruling on an objection to hearsay testimony. Maybe it's something more complicated than that. I remember being in a civil case in which the plaintiff wanted to offer an expert witness that the defense had not had an opportunity to depose, and that became a big issue because we were right in the middle of that trial. And I remember the judge at that time did what I thought was a pretty fair, made a pretty fair decision. He told the plaintiff to make that witness available over the lunch hour, and that the defendant would have an opportunity to depose that witness at the plaintiff's expense. So there are a lot of things like that come up, and if you've been there before, if you've seen how other judges have handled it, if you've had to go into chambers with the judges and argue over how it should be handled, you have a greater sensitivity to what the judge is going to have to do on the fly. There are other aspects of it too. I mean, I think that a judge is going to have to cover a wide range of topics during the course of his practice, and I think having familiarity with different issues of the law. I've done a lot of bankruptcy work, things of that don't actually apply in state court because bankruptcy is a federal proceeding, but people end up in state court with all kinds of issues that are related to bankruptcy cases, and so I think it perhaps helps to have a background in that regard as well. So I think experience is pretty important.
Mr. Roy?
I agree. Experience is a very important thing, and as I said, it's one of those things that there are a lot of ways to measure that. It's not just number of years of service. That's not the only answer. I think that it's the scope of experience is an issue. The kinds of individuals, the kinds of people, the kinds of situations that an attorney has seen and has been presented with, whether it's in the courtroom or out of the courtroom. For example, the time that I got to serve as a clerk for the judges in Columbia County was incredibly valuable experience for me to sit with the judges both before and after a hearing, to know what thoughts they had going into the hearing, what particular set of facts made the decision for them, turned to a particular outcome, and the like. I will say, though, that comes with at least one caveat, and that caveat I've gotten from speaking with a number of judges, and they have all sort of, in different ways, but sort of routinely said, there is at least one significant part of this job that there is little, if anything, that you can do as an attorney that will prepare you for that, and that is really that the buck stops there. That's where the decision gets made, and there's very little of that we as practicing attorneys get an opportunity to do. Very little of it, really, because even in those situations where we kind of hint at it, when in the role of a guardian ad litem in a divorce case, for example, is an area where you have to apply all the facts, they use the law in the same way as the judge, but you always have that balance. There's always the balance there that it's just a recommendation. The judge gets to make the final call. And even though the Court of Appeals is an automatic right today, there are very, very few cases that go up on appeal for cost or time or various other reasons. So it's hard to say that experience alone is it, because no, until you've sat in the chair, until you've had the opportunity and the responsibility, really, of being where the decision ends in the vast majority of cases, that's not anything that we get to do on a regular basis. And so experience isn't the only measure. It's a very good one, and I absolutely agree with that, but it's not the only one.